He has no pizza experience.
Hello and welcome to the podcast. This is the very first edition. I'm so glad you're listening. I thought it was just going to be me and my own talking for a while. But my name is Stuart Thompson and I own Cross-Functional Fitness in Warren Point. It's a personal training based facility. I've run it for 4 years now, and it's been growing steady. I initially thought it would just be a part-time endeavour. I had a passion for fitness and I wanted to share that with other people. But in this episode, I just want to give you a brief introduction, some background on me, a little bit about where I began and my attitude to fitness, how it's changed over the years. So yeah, I'm glad you could make it. If you enjoy this, share it with your friends. So yeah, basically the purpose of this podcast, a number of reasons, but there's just so many myths and misinformation out there at the minute. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot of crap on the internet about fitness, health. So all of those things, I want to kind of debunk a lot of the myths, cut through the nonsense, and get to what we actually need to focus on, the important things. Discussing fitness news, so there's always updates, there's always new things happening in the world of fitness. So from time to time we'll drop in and we'll check in on those, anything interesting. I'll keep you updated on it. Also answering questions you have. There's a lot of questions that we will be going over anyway, a lot of frequently asked ones that I'll like to share with you and give you the answers to, because if chances are if somebody else is thinking of a question they're struggling with, you're maybe just struggling with the exact same thing. And then hopefully getting some interviews with inspiring guests, knowledgeable guests, and it should be fun. I thought maybe it'd be helpful as well to give you some insight into the ethos around cross-functional fitness, what cross-functional fitness is all about, its aim, its goals, its objectives, all of those things. Basically, I really love the idea of doing what we can with what we've got. We're all unique. We've all got individual skills, strengths, weaknesses, and the idea behind cross-functional fitness is to try and be indefinable. So never kind of boxing ourselves in and saying I'm not a runner or I couldn't lift weights. A never quit kind of attitude, continuing to add skills and always aiming to try and improve and figure out where our weaknesses are and overcoming them. All of these things kind of encapsulate cross-functional fitness. I really need to get it narrowed down into a more kind of short, succinct concept so I can share it. But and many of us are not specialists in anything. We're not Olympic athletes, we're not gymnasts, we're not Olympic weightlifters, but it's amazing how far and how much progress we can make if we just don't quit and if we just keep striving for our God-given potential. So that comes in all aspects of life, but even especially in fitness, especially in things like our physique or things like our strength, aerobic fitness, all of those things. We're all capable of a lot more than we realise if we just don't quit. And hopefully throughout these podcasts you'll get a sense of that, of how much I believe in that message and how much I believe in it for my clients as well. Many of the traits found in the members of cross-functional fitness are ones I've just mentioned. When people talk about a tribe, I never really knew what they meant. I always thought it was some sort of contrived Americanism that is kind of really prevalent in Western society now, but it's so true. Birds of a feather really do flock together, and many of the same type of personalities, similar characters can be found training at cross-functional fitness, yet they're all unique. Everybody's unique who comes there. They all bring something different to the table, and they've all got different goals, different strengths, different weaknesses, but there's still something that connects all of them. And it's amazing to see that over the last 4 years, people who have stuck around and gotten to know other members, that applies both to class members and clients, both current and former. There's something just really down to earth, really humble about so many characters that come to cross-functional fitness, and I'm really, really grateful to have gotten to know so many of them over the last 4 years. So going back to school days, I suppose at primary school, I personally was quite an active kid. I was always playing football, always out running about with my friends, building tree houses, forts, racing around on my pedal go-kart, on my bike, making jumps, doing all the things that little kids do that probably shouldn't do. You know, your parents find out, they're not very happy about it. But whenever I started high school then, I was diagnosed with a condition called ME, or post-viral fatigue syndrome. It's kind of a branch off from it. Basically, it meant that I had no energy, no matter how much sleep I got, no matter how much rest I got, or how much food I ate. I was unable to go to school. I had to get tutors in at home to teach me the various subjects, and this was basically my life for the whole of first year, from about, I would say, early October, the whole way through to the summertime then. Thankfully, I have a great family, and they were around me the whole time and helped me through what was a tough time physically and mentally. It was hard to kind of get your head around this as an energetic kid who had no energy all of a sudden. And praise God, I was healed from it, and I started back to school then in second year, and I didn't do games or PE, more of a precaution really in case I had a relapse, because there's so many people who never ever recover from ME. There's a lot of people go through life just having to manage and get through it. So I'm really quite blessed and fortunate that I was able to get past it, and I've never had any relapses, thank the Lord. But I put on so much weight from just lying about for a year, eating food, just drinking Lucozade, trying to get energy from somewhere. Apparently Lucozade's good for energy. It's also really high in calories, which I didn't know then. Didn't know anything about calories then. But I didn't want to do games, so I wasn't really too disappointed. Because I was quite a chubby kid then. I was 12 or 13, and I was just a little bit of a barrel. And I understand if you're starting out trying to think, oh, I want to get in shape, and you're starting off and you're overweight, I know how it feels. I've been there. I remember trying to lose weight, and I always tried to do exercise in private at home. I tried to do all sorts of things, loads of sit-ups, loads of crunches. I would go running, I would wave my arms about, I would try and target particular areas of belly fat and things, trying to get rid of it. But yeah, I hated exercise really then, especially team sports, and we always had to play game things at school, like sports like rugby, hockey, or very rarely football, which I did enjoy still to play, but I hated it. I avoided it at all costs. I would have forged notes trying to get out of it. I would have, pull a sickie, or I've got a bit of an injury, a bit of a limp here, just to get out of doing those things. And it's a real shame looking back that I was forced to kind of do those things. I'm not saying it's right or it's morally correct to lie to your teachers, but that's how much I did not want to do rugby or hockey. There were sports that didn't appeal to me, and I think it's a shame that in school, kids are, if they're going to do exercise, it always has to be part of a team sport, which perhaps they might not enjoy doing. There's other kids might not enjoy football, like I enjoyed football, but it's a real shame that things like weightlifting are not included. If we're going to have a public education system, it's a real shame to me, considering the benefits of weight training for adults and kids alike, male and female. It's a real shame that we aren't allowed to lift weights. I don't know whether it's insurance purposes or teachers aren't qualified to teach weightlifting, but it's a life-changing experience whenever you start lifting weights and seeing the changes in your body. It's also interesting that running is used as a punishment at school. So if you did something wrong, or you give back cheek, they would send you doing laps of the pitch. And I don't think that helps a lot of kids' attitude toward exercise if it's actually used as a punishment. I know a lot of people have taken up running in recent years. It's become quite popular, but I think for my generation, it was almost like seen as a chore and as a punishment, as I say. So yeah, it's a real shame that is the case, but hopefully weightlifting will be included, and it will be given more of precedence going forward. As I said, I love weightlifting, and it really helped me mentally as well as physically, doing something difficult and then getting through. So avoiding exercise is probably not something you typically associate with a personal trainer or a coach. And I struggle to think about it myself because how much I love exercise now, how much I love what it does for me physically, mentally, and how much it helps people I know and the clients I have. But yeah, I guess just because at the time I put on so much weight, I was such a chubby little fellow and I had no aerobic fitness, I had no strength, I had no muscle. I was quite short, and everything about exercise and team sports did nothing for me. It was, I suppose it was scary in many ways, and it was intimidating, and it was not something I just wanted to be a part of. I just wanted to go home at that point in the day. But I know the struggles. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I know the struggles that there is whenever you are overweight or whenever you are carrying more body fat than you want to carry. It's a hard road. It's a difficult road to start on, and I can really empathize with that. I know what you're feeling. How you approach exercise is different. You don't enjoy it. It's really a chore. It's a tough task, and getting your mind around that and getting that right. That's part of the battle. That's the hardest part of the battle, I would say. Actually, moving and doing stuff isn't the thing. It's actually motivating yourself and thinking, this is such a long road ahead. I'm never going to make progress. But I remember trying back then to get start shifting the weight, start losing the weight. I didn't know much about exercise or fitness or fat loss or any of those things or building muscle. All I knew was from what you'd see on TV or some magazines or from older brothers who were doing a bit of training. But there was no Google, there was no internet back then. I'm not that old, but it was just around that time it was starting to come in and we started to get the internet. But the wide variety of sources of information now we did not have. So, you would read a bit of this and you would watch a movie and see Rocky training and you try and do stuff like that and see if that worked. But it's just such a hard place to start. I remember running around because I carried quite a lot of fat around my chest and around my stomach, so I was doing loads of sit ups, loads of crunches, waving my arms, doing arm circles, all these things, thinking I was burning the fat away from those specific areas. I now know, of course, you can't do that. It's probably the least effective thing you can do when it comes to fat loss. Nowadays, though, thankfully, there's so many more avenues of information. There's so many more sources of quality information that are useful and helpful for people. Back then, though, it was a struggle. So you can imagine how tough it was back today. You can start trying to lose fat, and you're starting in the right place, and you're doing all the right things. Back then, I was doing all the wrong things and wondering why I wasn't getting anywhere. So it was a very frustrating time. It wasn't actually until I started to grow. So I grew from like 5'5" to about 6'2" in the space of several months. And I basically stayed the same weight. I stayed at about 11 stone. So I went from being a chubby, short kid to being quite a tall, thin, skinny kid. And that was around, I think it was 6th year, so 15, 16, 17. In around those years, that's when the transformation happened, between 5th and 6th year, I believe it was. But I came back in from the summer and, I was quite tall. I was seeing over the top of people for the first time. And, yeah, my waistline was thin, but I was the same weight on the scales. And part of me intentionally wanted to do that, so I wasn't eating anymore, even though I was probably quite hungry. I didn't really eat much at school. My nutrition was terrible. And then I started trying to do weights because I thought, right, I'm so skinny here. I need to get on some muscle. I never wanted to be skinny. I never wanted to be overweight either, but I never wanted to be really skinny. So I started doing lots and lots of weight training. Again, didn't really know much what I was doing. I was testing things out as I went. Again, going by the advice my older brothers gave me, which to be fair was good advice. It got me building a bit of muscle, shoulders, arms. Probably neglected legs more than I should have, and as most guys do. Did lots of abs, lots of core, and because I had done lots of sit-ups, I had lots of muscle developed underneath there. So I had a six pack, which a lot of guys tend to want, but it was just a matter of stripping away that fat. It was quite a lazy way I did it. I just let myself grow, so I grew from 5 foot whatever to 6'2", and I was blessed in some ways that's the way it happened, that I was tall, because I know whenever you are shorter, it's harder to lose weight. You haven't got that, oh great, I can grow 6 inches or a foot, stretch out. It doesn't happen, especially after you're 18. It definitely doesn't happen. But that's when I started getting into weight training. I would call it my gateway drug. Weight training really was my gateway drug. It was my my pathway into other exercises and doing other things. And I really enjoyed weight training. I enjoyed seeing the changes in my muscles and my body, just the confidence it gave me. And it was my favourite type of exercise by far. Cardio, forget about it. Running, no chance. I'm not listening. You can go for a run. I'll do some weights. But I found it really frustrating that we couldn't do weights at school. So I would do weights at home, even though I was 18. I don't know it was insurance purposes or what the reason was, but I think it's a real cruel indictment on the education system that weight training is not prescribed. Running, they could send you running all day. It's interesting that there's a higher prevalence of injury rate from running, from repetitive sports and disciplines than weight training. People sometimes think kids shouldn't weight train. That is absolute nonsense, and I will happily chat to anybody who says otherwise because they're wrong. I'm not dogmatic about most things, but I am dogmatic about that because the science, the data, the studies are all on my side. But yeah, I can't understand why they can make kids run around a football pitch 16, 20 times for a bad performance, but they're not allowed to make them do weights or let them do weights if they want to do weights, which is it's quite confusing, really. So yeah, growing up, basically, I didn't have the best experience whenever it came to exercise, and it put me off it for a while. But as I said, once I got stuck into weight training at home and I started seeing the changes and the difference it made to me, it was probably in spite of my training regime rather than because of it, because it was a great one. It was, your body can do amazing things and it can overcome bad training technique and bad training methods to get a good advantage. But I have to say, my brothers did give me some good advice when it came to training, and I was able to bulk myself up and get stronger. And then I went on to uni and I continued lifting weights. Basically, that was one of my main priorities when I went to uni, was to try and get stronger, get bigger, get fitter. And then I started adding things like sprint training, because sprint intervals, because I realised upon research that sprinting was a great way to ignite your metabolism and to try and get a little bit leaner. Because after bulking up for a few years, I wanted to get a little bit leaner and get some definition back again. So I started including sprint training, like 100-meter sprints, and I started really loving that, and I still love it. I still love to do it. I'm not as fast as I used to be, but it's a good burner, and I would much rather do that than doing a 5k or a 10k or a marathon. The thought of doing any of those things, it does not appeal to me at all, and I'm sure there's other people out there like that, but again, it's a strange one. There's lots of 5k runs available, there's lots of park runs and long distance, medium distance running, but there's no sprint events, which is, again, a frustration in my life. Maybe it's something that will change in the future, but sprinting is an amazing sport. I mean, you watch Usain Bolt, and how can you not be inspired? You watch guys like that, and you're never going to get anywhere near them probably unless you're a genetic freak, but the feeling, the exhilaration of taking off from a standing start and hitting top speed, and that feeling, it's a great feeling. And you don't have to do it that long. It could be 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and you get a good workout and you can burn a lot of calories. It's what we would call today HIIT training. I was doing that back 15 years ago without really even thinking too much about it. But yeah, at uni I was doing a lot of weight training, and then after a while I was paying for a gym membership. I remember it was called Fitness First in Coleraine, and I just decided one time I would not renew my membership, and I thought I'm going to try and do some body weight, because I got quite fascinated with gymnastics, so I thought I would try and do some body weight exercises, body weight training. So not just push-ups or pull-ups and things, but try and actually, what about a one-arm pull-up? Could I train myself to do a one-arm pull-up? Because I thought I was pretty strong, but I couldn't do a one-arm pull-up. And then I thought, what about handstand push-ups? I thought of all these things I could do at home. I could go to a local park and hang off a football post and try and do pull-ups and things like that, or monkey bars. And I really fell in love with that side of things as well. So I didn't do weight training very much, probably not at all, for a year or two. And I started adapting, doing handstand push-ups up against the wall, trying to improve my balance. And then throughout the course of that, I was working at the university then in the business department, and then I stumbled upon CrossFit. And I saw these guys, they were doing heavy deadlifts, and then all of a sudden they were doing handstand walking, and I thought this was the coolest thing. You see this combination of skills and things which are so hard to possess at the same time, both raw power and strength, and then total control of your body weight. So yeah, I started getting interested in CrossFit. I started watching dozens and hundreds probably of CrossFit videos. Rich Froning was cleaning up at the time. He was the man, and again, another top athlete. It's hard not to be inspired by, but the things that they could do at the same time, to me, everything I'd learned at the time, it wasn't possible. You were good at one thing. You were either really raw and strong, but big and heavy, and you shouldn't have been good at running. You shouldn't have been good at cardio. You shouldn't have been good at other things. And these guys just blow that theory out of the water, the things that they can do. And I started putting it to the test myself. So I started challenging myself to do more running, to do more like longer distance running while lifting heavy. And I really enjoyed the thrill of chasing all these targets down at the same time and trying to get better at all these different disciplines. Now, I was never going to be an elite athlete. I'm not genetically gifted enough. I'm probably not disciplined enough either, which is my fault. But I certainly enjoyed the thrill. I certainly enjoyed the chase. And I was happy with what I got out of it. I really was. And I competed in a competition or two. Joined third. I wasn't spectacular at it, but it was really, really good fun. And then I just thought I've always wanted to, because I've always loved exercise I was going on 10 years. I'd really loved exercise when I was about 25. And I had in the back of my head, I'd love to start a gym, or I'd love to do personal training. And I was training friends on and off, informally. And then I thought, I'd love to go for it. I want to try and, start a gym myself and see who else I can help. If there's somebody else out there who knows a little bit less than I do and who I can benefit and help, I might as well reach out and see if we can help them. So I had a lot of equipment at home that I was using to train with. I got a bit more, set it up a bit more commercially, and bit by bit just saved my money, put it aside. Didn't take out loans, didn't get grants or anything like that. I just saved money and then put up adverts, Facebook ads, word of mouth, and I had a lot of support from the people around me here in Morn Point, which is great. Word of mouth, they told their friends and they told their friends, and it's kind of snowballed from there. Initially, I just set it up thinking that I would like to do it part-time, so early mornings and late evenings, and work a day job in between, but it's kept me full-time busy. Little did I know that you have to put in a lot of work during the rest of the hours in the day. It's not just the hours you're with clients face-to-face. There's so much more around it. Running a business, any business, takes a lot of man hours. It takes a lot of energy outside of the 9 to 5 and the 40 hours a week. It's more like 60 or 80 hours a week you're working, but you don't really think you're working. It doesn't feel like work, like as if you're working for your boss, because it's enjoyable, it's fun, it's challenging, and you're trying to grow your business, yes, but you're trying to, the back of your head, you're always thinking, how can I help people more? What are people's problems that I can address and answer and find a fix and a solution for? So that, again, a bit like the fitness challenge, it's a never-ending task, it's a never-ending quest. So it keeps me on my toes, keeps me busy. I've always hated working out in the morning, but apparently there are a lot of people who like working out at 6 a.m. before work, and sometimes it's out of necessity. It's the only time they can get free. So I've been getting up at 5 a.m. and if anybody knew me 10 years ago, I hated getting up before 8 a.m. probably. So getting up at 5 a.m. and travelling down, it's been a big change. It's been a big lifestyle change, and it's meant like going to bed earlier, but getting up at 5 a.m. Usually it's been going on holidays. It's been really, really fun and enjoyable and exciting. But I have to say, I don't really mind getting up at 5 a.m. 6 a.m. now feels like a lie-in if I get the lie-in till 6. But listen, if somebody's going to be here training at 6 a.m., I'm going to be here training them. I'm going to be just as keen as they are. So yeah, it's been quite a journey. It's over 4 years in the making, and I'm looking forward to continue it. But yeah, from going from a kid who hated exercise, little chubby kid who hated running, hated cardio, to someone who loves exercise, who's made it his, not just my passion, it's become my passion, but it's become my bread and butter. It's become something that puts bread on the food on the table. It's helped me provide finances to get married, to get a house, furnish a house, to go on honeymoon, and I've got a child now, so it's supporting that as well. But there's always pressure to try and do that, but I'm really thankful, I'm grateful that I've been blessed with so many great clients who are basically friends for life. There are people who will have my back and I'll have theirs, and I'll always be in the end of the phone for them, and vice versa. Some of them have given me some immense advice over the years, and they've really, really encouraged me. So it's a lonely business in some ways, but it's also a very rewarding business, and it's a business which, you can see people improving. You can see people getting closer to their goals and doing things they never thought were possible with their body. So maybe you're out there, maybe you've got a kid who hates exercise right now. Maybe they're 14 or 15 and they're putting on weight. We are, what date is it? It's the 4th of May here, and I'm recording this, so we're just kind of coming out of house arrest over here in Northern Ireland, and other parts of the world probably as well. So lots of people have put on weight, kids especially, maybe been sitting indoors and over the winter playing computer games and eating a lot and putting on weight. And maybe you're thinking, you're worrying about your kids. Don't worry, there's always time, there's always a chance for them to turn the corner. But I would really encourage you to expose them to the gym. That's why I'm quite passionate about letting kids come here and train with their parents, and to figure it out themselves, see if they like weight training, to see if they like the stimulus, and see what they like, what it does to their body and how it changes them. I've watched it myself, how it increases confidence in kids. It gets them to do things that are hard to get a reward. Lifting weights is not easy, it's difficult, you'd rather sit up on the sofa and watch TV and eat crisps and drink fizzy drinks, but it's a tough game, it's a tough discipline, but it teaches your mind as well as your body. It teaches your mind that you can get a reward from doing something you don't like to get a reward later on, and it's the same thing in life. That applies to many disciplines in life, many areas of life. So yeah, if you're a parent, reach out, drop me a message if you want to chat, or if you have any questions around that any further. But hopefully that's going to benefit somebody. Until the next time. Now for some frequently asked questions, and if you have any other questions you would like me to answer, don't be afraid to send them in. I would love to help you out. First question that is quite common. I want to get in shape, but I don't have the time to work out. What can I do? This is probably 90% of the population. Everybody says they want to get in shape, but they don't have time to work out. And quite often that's a legitimate excuse. Don't want to say excuse, but it's a legitimate reason for not working out. Whether it's kids, whether it's job, whether it's lots of other family commitments and professional commitments and things that crop up in life. Time is limited. You only have 24 hours in the day, and it doesn't matter how much money you make, you don't get any more time than rich man, poor man. We all have the same amount of time. However, what you can do if you think you don't have any time to work out is you can go on your phone right now, and depending if you've got Apple, Android or whatever, go to your settings and look up your screen time. Look up what you spend most of your time on. You might be shocked that it's Facebook, Instagram, browsing on Amazon and eBay, YouTube. It's probably a combination of those things, and you might be shocked that you've probably got more than an hour's worth in there divided amongst those. And okay, it might not have been all at the same time, but I guarantee if you added up the time in the evening, maybe it's Netflix as well. Maybe you spend a lot of time on Netflix or Amazon Prime or Disney, or I don't know what else is there, BritBox. There's all sorts of ones these days, but I guarantee you spend more than 3 hours in the week doing those things, spending on screen time. It's wasted time, and I'm as guilty as anybody, but I'm in the fortunate position that I have a gym and I'm at the gym quite a lot. But I would say, if you want to get in shape, instead of committing as much time to Netflix, like all those apps on your phone, go to a gym, get a few dumbbells, get a barbell, sign up to personal training. I would love to help you if you're in the Warren Point, South Down area, or in the Dromore area. I would love to help you out. Sometimes just even committing to somebody else, committing your time, saying, right, I'm going to give this guy 3 hours a week or 2 hours a week, 2 or 3 blocks a week. That can be the catalyst. So if you commit to it, your chances are you're going to do it. If you put it in your phone, chances are you're going to do it. And if motivation is an issue, or sticking to it, your commitment is an issue, get a trainer, get somebody to help you out, because it definitely helps. And that's what a lot of people who come to me, that's the reason they come to me. It's not because they don't know about how to do exercise or the benefits of exercise or nutrition or what they should be eating. Most of us know generally what we should be eating and how we should be exercising and how much we need. But for a lot of people, it's that commitment. It's committing to someone and committing to the process. So yeah. So the next frequently asked question, that this one pops up quite regularly, especially in the winter time. I'm feeling sick. Should I train anyway? Now, typically before COVID-19 and all of that was a thing, and it had entered into our lives, the common advice, the sensible advice would have been, if you've got above the neck symptoms, you could probably train okay. If you've got below the neck symptoms, you probably want to sit it out. So below the neck symptoms would be something like a chesty cough, possibly a chest infection, in which case you probably don't want to aggravate it by stressing your lungs out even more with aerobic or weight training work. Above the neck symptoms would be something like a head cold, so just a bit of sneezing, runny nose, all of that. Now, it should be said that this question should be answered on a person by person, case by case basis, because everybody has a different perception of what sick looks like. Some people would say, "Oh, I had a bit of the flu at the weekend," and you're like, "Did you have the flu at the weekend?" Because I'm pretty sure the flu means you have to lie in bed for 2 weeks. So it probably was just a bit of a cold, bit of a headache, and you're right as rain on a Monday morning. So if you see what I mean, everybody has a different idea of what sick is, what unwell feels like. It's a bit like the rate of perceived exertion. If you ask somebody who's doing heavy squats, how does that feel on a scale of 1 to 10? How fatiguing or how tiring is that? And some people are like, "Oh, it's a 10, it's a 10. And I'm kind of thinking, if it's a 10, you probably shouldn't be able to do the last rep of the last set. You're probably passed out on the floor. You're probably collapsed. That's how tough it was. A lot of the time, we think things are tougher than they are. We think we're sicker than we are. So, yeah, train, see how you feel. If you're the sort of person who's asking the question, you're probably not going to train anyway. If you're asking me, is it safe to train? Only you can answer that. I'm not going to take responsibility for that. You have to take responsibility for yourself. But personally, I will try and train if I can. And if I have to sit it out, I'll sit it out. The studies and the research kind of suggest that light aerobic work can actually help with things like the cold, get your sinuses going. Weight training, because it requires inflammation for you to grow and develop from performing the work, inflammation tends not to be a good thing. So staying away from weight training, that's one thing to think about if you're feeling really under the weather. Maybe doing a little bit of light cardio. Some people actually swear by this. They swear, "Oh yeah, I went for a run and I was feeling great. The cold disappeared." And I don't know whether it's placebo or whether it just kind of masks the effect of the cold. It seems to definitely have an impact, a positive impact. So it's something to think about. And our final frequently asked question this week: I find it hard to prepare meals throughout the week. What should I do? So again, this is quite a common one. It's a struggle that many people have, many clients have. And the old saying, prepare to fail, fail to prepare. You heard that one? Yeah. It's tossed around quite a lot, but it's quite applicable in this scenario. So I don't like cooking particularly. If I have time, I like doing it, but I tend to like to cut corners and do it with a bare minimum time. So the way I like to do it is batch cooking. So doing like a big batch of cooking on a Monday night maybe. I used to do that whenever I was single and I lived alone. I found this, cook 3 times a week, and that's it. So cook a big batch of something. Stir fry is a good option. Whatever it is you're into, whatever meals you like to do, batch cook it. You obviously need you need a lot of protein, so you're gonna want to cook a lot of steak or a lot of chicken or whatever it is your protein source. Cook a lot of it. Cook a big batch on a Monday night. That's going to keep for up to 3 days. Even if you want to freeze it, you could have it next week. But cook a huge batch. So don't just think of your next meal and cook that, because it's going to take you 15, 20, 30 minutes, maybe an hour to cook a meal. Why spend an hour cooking one meal when you can spend an hour cooking 5 or 6 meals potentially? So it could do you to Wednesday. Then cook again maybe on Wednesday evening. That'll do you Thursday, Friday. Then it's the weekend. You have more time on your hands and you can think about getting groceries in and preparing for the next week. Cook again maybe on Saturday or whenever, Saturday afternoon. But try and cook as little as possible would be my recommendation if you're finding it hard to prepare meals throughout the week. But definitely have a plan, think ahead. Don't just think when it's time to eat, oh, what am I going to have now? Like, you do know that you have to eat every single day. As a human being, this is just the way it is. It shouldn't be a shock to you at tea time. Like, I'm hungry now. Why am I hungry? Oh wait, I need to eat something now. You know, it shouldn't really be a shock. Similarly, that shouldn't be a shock that you get tired and that you need to sleep at night. So you prepare to go to bed. I'll go to sleep. But whenever you're hungry, have something pre-prepared. Know what you're eating a couple of hours, couple of meals in advance, and even 3 or 4 days if possible, and it'll save you even more time. You could spend an hour cooking 6 meals, as I said, lunch and dinner for a few days. It'll keep 3 days in the fridge. There's no worries there. And batch cook it, cook it out, and freeze it even if you want to as well. It'll keep for a good while. And now it's time for the new segment, Joke of the Week. This is going to be my favourite segment because I do love a good joke, or bad one sometimes. So you can send your complaints about the bad jokes to info@crossfunctionalfitness.co.uk, or questions if you have any questions about health or fitness you would like me to answer. So this week's Joke of the Week, prepare yourselves, sit down so you don't fall over. Did you hear about the movie Constipation? It hasn't come out yet.
How dare you!
So that is us. That's a wrap. Thank you for joining me for the first podcast. Thank you for listening this long, if you've made it this long. And yeah, we'll be back next week again. Hopefully in the future I'll be getting some interviews with some people of interest to answer your questions. If you have any, send them in. I'd love to help. I'd love to give you some advice. And I'm hoping to get better at producing it, because I want to make it nice and slick, and you'll be so entertained. You'll not even want to watch Netflix or Amazon Prime. You'll be too busy. Like, how cool was that production? You'll not even be listening to the information. You'll just be blown away by my production skills, because as you might have guessed by now, I'm not a producer. And I can hear some of you falling off your chair right now as I say that. But until the next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.